Hearing will come to order. I want to welcome everyone to the Senate Budget Committee today. Today we will focus on challenges that are facing the U.S. economic recovery. We're going to look specifically at challenges in the areas of unemployment, housing, and state fiscal crises. We're really fortunate to have four outstanding witnesses with us today. Dr. Mark Zandi, the Chief Economist at Moody's Analytics. Dr. Zandi has been very helpful to this committee and has testified here several times in the past. We're grateful to have you back again today. Dr. Till von Wachter, Associate Professor of Economics at Columbia University. And I just say parenthetically, my daughter is getting a PhD there. I was up there a few weeks ago. She was teaching a great books class. It was very interesting. Dr. Ray Shepak, the Executive Director of the National Governors Association. We understand that after nearly 30 years, he's retiring and going to go to UVA. Commend you on your years of public service, Ray. Always somebody that has enjoyed credibility on both sides of the aisle for his professionalism. And Mr. Chris Edwards, Director of Tax Policy, the studies at the Cato Institute. Good to have you back as well. Thank you very much. Let me begin by providing a brief overview of my own on the economic challenges that we currently confront. The federal response to the recession and the financial crisis successfully pulled the economy back from the brink. In the fourth quarter of 2008, the economy was showing negative growth of 6.8%. Economic growth has since returned, although not as strongly or as quickly as we would have liked. In the fourth quarter of 2010, we saw positive growth of 3.2%. And private sector job growth has also returned, although not as much as we would like. In January in 2009, I think it's important for us to remember, the economy was losing more than 800,000 private sector jobs a month. December of 2010, the last month we have data for, the economy gained 113,000 private sector jobs. So we now have 12 consecutive months of private sector job growth. Despite this improved picture, it's clear the economy is growing at a much slower pace than in past recoveries. When measured against the 9 previous recoveries over the past 60 years, we see the current recovery lags considerably the typical recovery. I personally believe a key reason for that are the damage done to the financial sector. And the unemployment rate has also remained stubbornly high. Just a little over 3 years ago, it stood at 5%. It nearly doubled within a year's time and has fluctuated in the 9% plus range ever since. Congressional Budget Office now projects the unemployment rate will fall only slightly to 9.2% in the fourth quarter of this year and still remain stubbornly above 8% in the fourth quarter of 2012. Another concern is the number of long-term unemployed, those unemployed for 27 weeks or longer, which is extraordinarily high. The average rate of long-term unemployment over the period from 1948 to 2007 was 0.8%. Just prior to the recession in December of 2007, the rate was very similar at 0.9%. Now the rate of long-term unemployed has surged to 4.2%. This is a clear sign of the persistent economic weakness experienced by Americans across a broad front. We also continue to face a crisis in the housing market, the sector of the economy that sparked the recession. 1 out of 5 mortgages remains underwater, meaning the home is worth less than the remaining balance on the mortgage. And in some markets, that number is much higher. In addition, 1 of 8 mortgages is delinquent or in foreclosure. And home prices have fallen 31% from their peak in 2006 and are expected to continue falling in the near term. We can see that new home building has fallen dramatically and remains low. In January of 2006, we had 2.3 million housing starts. In December, we had just 529,000 housing starts. Finally, the nation's economic recovery also faces a challenge from the fiscal crises occurring at the state and local level. Here's a recent headline from the New York Times. It reads, "Mounting debts by states stoke fears of crisis. Costs remain hidden. Analysts who predicted mortgage meltdown see a similarity." Since most states have balanced budget requirements, they're forced to close their budget gaps with layoffs and cuts in social services and tax increases. Such cuts have a ripple effect through state and local economies. This undercuts the recovery efforts underway nationally. I think it's very clear there's little appetite in Congress for providing further help to states, so we need to consider what else can be done to help states get through this challenging period. I hope this hearing can shed light on all of these issues. Senator Sessions is not here yet. He's delayed. So I think what we'll do is go right to the witnesses. And we'd ask you to limit your stated remarks to 5 minutes or thereabouts, and then we'll have a chance to get to questions. Again, thank you very much for participating. This is an important day for the Budget Committee because we are trying to deal with a series of challenges that the country faces all in one hearing. I can't think of a better panel of witnesses